Are you a service-based business owner looking to increase profits to fund your lifestyle? Well, this podcast is for you. We bring you inspirational guests sharing actionable tips to solve many of the struggles you face each and every day. And now, over to your host, Paul Higgins.
Hi, Paul here. Before we get into the show, would you like to make a great first impression on LinkedIn? If so, I have something just for you. When people search for your name on Google, your LinkedIn profile will normally come up first. Before meeting someone for the first time, how often do they view your LinkedIn profile? For many coaches and consultants I begin to work with, their profiles don't do them any justice. I've created a simple solution where you can whip your profile into shape to have your best foot forward when attracting new clients on LinkedIn. Go to blgdownload.com, so that's blgdownload.com to get your 5 killer tips today. Hello to the Build, Live, Give Solo podcast, episode number 300. I thought I'd never say that. If it's your first time, welcome. And if you love what you hear, please subscribe. I recommend listening to episode 0.5 as a guide for you. If you're a regular, thanks for your support, and I'll be talking more about you in a moment. If you've listened to all 300 episodes, reach out as I have a special gift for you. So just reach out at paul@buildlivegive.com. I'd like to take you on a little walk back through my podcast memory lane today to talk about my 300th. So it's a little self-indulgent, but please stay with me because I still give you value. So I got podcasting because I used to fall asleep when I read books due to my kidney disease. When you have polycystic kidney disease, unfortunately, it does restrict your kidney function. It just means that a lot of the toxins still stay in your body, mainly in your brain, and you're tired 24/7. And I cannot tell you how many times that I'd be reading a book, I'd fall asleep. I didn't know when I fell asleep, but it'd probably been the first 10 pages. One is I dropped the book, so I wouldn't know what page I was up to, so I constantly couldn't finish books. And the second is I'd bang my head or hit my head, my glasses with books, so I couldn't read anything heavy. I couldn't read any hardbacks. And look, to be honest, it just got a bit ridiculous. So I looked for an alternative, and then I fell across podcasts. And I suppose now it seems such a natural fit. But back then, there wasn't a lot of people listening to podcasts. My first podcast I listened to was Entrepreneur on Fire from John Lee Dumas. That was back in 2012. So if you're listening, John, I think I've nearly listened to every podcast of yours. I got a little distracted in the last couple of years where you changed your format a little. But, thank you for really setting the stage for me. And in 2017, I actually met both John and now his fiancée, Kate, at the We Are podcast conference in Brisbane, Australia. And I remember because, I was quite ill back then with my kidneys, but I went up for a 2-day event and was hosted by Ronsley Vass. And Ronsley, thanks for you. I know that you brought some of the best podcasters in the world to Australia, and I couldn't travel overseas, so for me it was a huge win, so thank you for that. I was then inspired to start my podcast, so I promised at the end of that day to Felicity in particular, who's a great client of mine, Felicity Dales. I promised to her that I would launch my podcast. So I did. On the 5th of May 2017, I launched the Corporate Escapee podcast. And it was really me helping people like myself. So I left corporate, I left Coca-Cola in 2011 because of my health, but also I wanted to run my own business. And I'd learned a lot of things in the 6 years, in particular, a lot of things, what not to do. So I just wanted to help people to better do that. And I went out and interviewed other corporate escapees that were now successfully running their own business. And Noel Wax was my first guest. So huge shout out to you, Noel. I know you do great things for the community, and I really appreciate you taking a chance on me to come on the show. And since then, I've interviewed 220 guests. I've done 80 solo shows, including this one. So I want to thank every guest for their contributions, because certainly when I started, I was, a nobody like everyone that starts. And over time, I built up, a lot better. All the guests were fantastic, but guests, I suppose, with greater audiences. And that really helped to, highlight my podcast to others around the world. And if you think of it, I never missed a day. So I went through a major surgery in November 2018, and thank goodness we had some in the bank. I'd sort of prepared because I spent, nearly 10 days in hospital, most of those in ICU, and really I was seconds from losing my life. What went in to be keyhole surgery for my kidney removal turned into a major operation, and I've still got the shark bite scar to prove it. The surgeon apologised for having to do it, but I said, that's okay, you saved my life. But he said, yeah, also, it's one of the worst cuts I've ever made. And I looked at my stapled stomach and agreed to it. So anyway, then I went on dialysis, so that didn't stop me. And then I had my transplant from Brendan, which was amazing, one of my closest friends for 30-odd years. And that was in 2019, and all through that period, and to be honest, I was very ill through patches of that. I was down to 6% kidney function, but the one thing that really kept me going, the one thing that inspired me through that period is no matter how bad I felt, I knew that I was helping someone else, and that's the podcast really gave me that. So thank you for everyone that was listening through that period. Look, I have missed a couple of episodes around Christmas. Got to give some of you a break. I just want to thank some of the people that have been really here to help with the podcast. So Balas, who I've never met, does all the editing of the podcast. So Balas, thank you. I know you're sort of the silent guy behind the scene, but I made a decision right from the get-go that I was not going to edit an episode, and I think that's been the right decision. Then I've had some great sponsors. So Ruben from Dub has been a great sponsor, and David from LeadJet also. So really thank you both for that. I've had an amazing team that made this all possible. So, whilst I was lying in a hospital bed, someone had to do all the work. So Irina, so thank you. Then Connie and Chi for all the work that you've done. And I also had an external team, Potatize, so thank you for your support as well through producing a lot of our, in particular, a lot of our interviews and getting some SEO traffic. So I've also had some amazing mentors. So yes, I've listened to some of their podcasts, but most of you have worked one-on-one. So there's been James Schramko from Superfast Business Podcast. Never miss a show, James. I've listened to all of yours, but you've been a great supporter. Michael Greenberg recently helped me with podcasting, so thank you for that. I had Michael O'Neill from the Solopreneur Hour. So I met him at We Are Podcast, and he actually come and stayed down in my rental whilst we were building down here in Melbourne. So it was great to share a pie with you, Michael, and rescue a possum from memory. That's right, a possum. Charlie Vella, who's part of Valor Media, or is the owner and founder of Valor Media. He's always given me great tips on podcasting. And Doug Sandler, also, I did some work with him. He's from Nice Guys Finish First, which is a lovely company name, but he also gave me a lot of value. And then last but not least was Jamie Masters. So Jamie was my mentor for the total business, but she also helped me in particular with my podcast, and she's from Adventure Millionaire. So I'd like to thank all of you for helping me make it to 300. And also my clients, all of you that are listening, you've inspired me. So you've given me great ideas. So when we've done our mentoring sessions, I've basically learnt through you, through application, and then I've shared it, not your specific situation, but overall with everyone else. And finally, last but not least, the listeners, right? So everyone that's listening, like I said, if you've been through all 300 episodes, please, email me at paul@buildlivegive.com, and I've got a special gift for you. I did lose my favourite listener, and that was my mum. So, mum passed away in July 2019, and she was very ill for a long time, but when she sat on dialysis for 4.5 hours 4 times a week, she listened to the podcast, and it sort of gave her an understanding of what I did. Because when I left Coca-Cola to go run my own business, my mum and dad, to their credit, they tried to really understand what I did, but they couldn't really grasp it. And mum was a school teacher for all her career, and she always was a huge community person, giving back. And I suppose she was, she was pleased that I was doing that through my podcasting. So mum, if you're listening to us now from up above, thanks for being my number one listener through that journey. And Last but not least is, just the feedback has been incredible. So, as a podcast, you don't get as much feedback as you would like. But when people do come across me, whether it's through my LinkedIn posts or other reasons to reach out to me, some people want to work with me, which is fantastic. They're always very kind in their feedback that they give me on the podcast. So, look, it's been an amazing journey. I hope to at least do another 300 more, if not more than that. I love doing this. I love the feedback I get. And, thanks for being one of, tens of thousands of people that has listened to this. So you can listen to episode 0.5 if you want to go back and sort of get a bit of a pathway through the podcast. If you want to know how to run a sales machine to get 1 to 3 high-paying clients a month, go to paulhigginsmentoring.com/pulse. We've just updated it. It's even sharper than what it was before. 9 critical questions in 3 minutes. Please connect and follow me on LinkedIn. That's where I post my amazing guests podcasts and these solo ones. If you know someone interested in building a sales team to build, live, and give, please share this with them and get them to check it out. Thanks again for all of you and all of your support, and please take action to build, live, and give. Thanks again for all your support. It's been amazing. And please take action to build, live, and give.
Thanks for listening to the Build, Live, Give podcast. If you like what you heard, please share it and leave us a review. It would mean the world to us.